Hi, I'm Dominik Scherrer, and I'm a film composer based in London, UK. And I'm born in Switzerland and came to the UK when I was 20, and been working in film and film music ever since.
It's a good life that I provide here. I have been good to you. And you understand why it's hard for me to accept that you just want to leave.
I'd worked with director on a few projects before, even going back like 15 years. And he was the lead director on The Missing, which I don't know, you may have seen, and on Ripper Street, and those are shows I scored as well. So, and he mentioned The Serpent already about 6-7 years ago, and we started to talk about it then and how to possibly score, a story like that. So, and I started quite early on that, and it was not only Tom Shanklin, but I had worked with the producer and with the executive producer as well. So, and Richard Warlow, who wrote the script, I'd worked with him before. So it was a nice, familiar team, and where everyone. The series is set in Southeast Asia, mostly in Bangkok and Hong Kong, and then it goes to Nepal, and then to India, and to Paris. So, and the idea wasn't really, to be geographically and musicologically accurate. It's not like a travel documentary where you then have music from each country. So, but really, and I think what's important that at the time, we already had this sort of cultural mashup, really. This was the time when I think the world really started to open up a bit, and people, with not that much money were able to travel, and culturally, there was a sort of the beginning of a mix, really. And it started maybe a few years earlier with, the Beatles and George Harrison going to India and doing, music with sitar, and George Harrison jamming with Ravi Shankar, and it was almost a sort of psychedelic mix of cultures, really. And that's, in a way, what I wanted to achieve with this, and it's a thriller after all, but I wanted to have it exotic, or to have something exotic about it, But I mean, like, for example, if you take music, traditional music from Thailand is actually, is cheerful, is nice, it's not really something that goes with a dark thriller like this. I think, particularly with Herman, because yes, he then gets obsessive, which also, it brings down his relationship as well with his girlfriend there, and because he became obsessed with bringing Charles to justice, and I wanted to have a kind of a sort of drive behind it, that was almost had this kind of repetitive and driving element in it, and the inspiration for that really came from maybe the sort of American minimalism from the 1970s with Philip Glass and Steve Reich, that had that sort of these repeated obsessive figures, that keep changing, and so that was kind of for the investigation in a way, and it kind of pulled you through the story, and then with Charles it was, I think, a different kind of obsession. His obsession, it was almost, I think it was materialistic, he was obsessed with Nietzsche and with Nietzsche's kind of outlook in the world. I don't think that's really mentioned in the series because it's almost too complicated to talk about it in a series like this. But Nietzsche was kind of the ultimate rationalist and was against, he kind of rejected spiritualism, and in his work he also created that rejected spiritualism like Zarathustra, and so that was and I think in the story you can see this because Charles sort of kind of hates these hippies who come to Southeast Asia and want to immerse themselves into Asian spirituality, into Buddhism, etc., and kind of, suddenly lead this kind of Zen life, and for him, he kind of saw that as kind of cynical in a way, and so I think it kind of justified the killings for him as well, because he only really killed Western people anyway. I think mostly. Well, no, not only, but so anyway, for me, because I needed to find a musical inspiration and complex for this kind of ultra-violent and cold-blooded streak in him. I didn't know at the beginning that this was going to be the main theme, so I wrote a bunch of themes. This was a theme that it was really about Herman's obsession, with Charles and Charles being the sort of the snake, being the who always gets away. So it needed to have this kind of snakiness, and so when I played, when I played a theme, it sort of does this kind of. So it's a bit like something, that just sort of goes, but then it sort of keeps changing all the time because it sort of changes these harmonies that. And so on, so it goes to places where you don't really expect it to go. So, but I mean, yes, as I mentioned, so this was like one of the themes, and then initially it was more had a more orchestral orchestration to it, and then so we tried different themes for the title because we already started to have a draft of the visuals as well, and then we thought this could work, but then one of the producers said, yes, but we can, but let's do it more kind of exotic, sort of Southeast Asian, so then I recorded the gongs and stuff that go with it, and now it's a kind of mixture of orchestral, but it's a strange orchestra, it's a lot of like flutes, though no one can really hear the flutes, but they're actually the sort of main driving factor, and organ and a bit of strings and a lot of horns, and so it's a kind of maybe slightly unpredictable orchestration, and but also it's got actually, I almost forgot about that. It's got all these guitar loops in there as well that are kind of inspired a little bit by the Beatles track "Tomorrow Never Knows," which is the sort of slightly Asian inspired Beatles track, and Paul McCartney actually did some kind of tape loops for that at home, and that they then put onto the track, which you can hear in the track. And I thought that it'd be nice to have something a little bit like that. So we recorded this guitar stuff and then kind of on tape looped it, and it's backwards, and and speed it up. And so to have some of that kind of, the sort of flower power element in there as well.